Okay, namaste everybody. Let's start our Sunday class, Ishavasya Upanishad. And we started this last week, so gave you the introduction of it. And there is Jyoti was telling me there's a recording of it if you want to go back. And if you were not in the class last week, you can listen to that introduction. Okay. So let's start the class with the peace prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhuva Swaha, Tatsavitruvarenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Asto ma Satgamya, Tamso ma Jyotirgamya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamya. Om Sehna Vavatu, Sehna Bhunaktu, Sehviryam Karvavahi, Tejasvi Navadhitamastu, Ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. So Ishavasya Upanishad. So let's start with verse number 1. So it's a mantra Upanishad from Yajurveda. It's a very small Upanishad, only 18 verses. So first verse says, Om Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kim cha jagatyam jagat ten tyakten bhujintha ma gritha kasya swit dhanam. Om. All the mantras, they start with Om. So that means we are supposed to keep God in our mind. Thank God. Remember God. Ishavasyam. Ish means the Lord. Vasyam, clothing of the Lord. Or the indwelling of Lord. Idam means this. Sarvam all. Yat kimcha, whatever. Jagatyam, in the universe. Jagat, the world, the moving world, the changing world. Ten, by him, that means by God, by Lord. Tyakten, by abandonment. Bhujintaha, you may enjoy. Ma means do not. Gridha, covet. Kasya swit, anybody's. Dhanam, wealth. So this Rishi is saying all this, whatsoever moves in this universe, and everything is moving. So whatever moves in this universe, including the universe itself moving, is pervaded or enveloped or clothed by the Lord. That renounced, you should enjoy. Covet not anybody's wealth. So this saint, this seer, he's opening this Upanishad with this daring statement of a very subtle truth. First, let's look at the term Vasyam. Each word is very important. Vasyam. The root of this word is Vas. That means clothing also. That means inhabiting also, enveloping also, pervading also. So in this context, in this verse, all these meanings are applicable, all of them. So he says, idam sarvam, all this That means all this we are perceiving through our sense organs or by the intervention of our mind and intellect. All this, whatever we see, whatever we feel, is indwelt, or it's enveloped or clothed by the Lord, by that spirit, which is the Lord, which is the Ish. So it's a spirit muffled in matter is the living being. In every entity in the world of objects, the spirit or the soul or the Lord indwells, permeating everything, everywhere in its homogeneous pervasiveness. Homogeneous means it's equally present everywhere. It's not that it's more here and less there. It's homogeneous. This matter which we see, whether it's a gross matter or a subtle matter, it is just equipment. It's an equipment through which this truth expresses itself in the dynamic life. And this is what we all know. So this spirit which we are calling, it's the Lord of these matter. Without the spirit, without the Lord, nothing can exist. That's why this Lord is called omnipresent. And it acts as the governor, ruler, monitor. It's a governor of all environment, ruler over all sense activities, and it's a monitor in all mental and intellectual functions. It's present everywhere, all the time, equally. But still, we are not conscious of this Lord. It's present everywhere, but we are not conscious of it. That is the tragedy. In fact, this is a great tragedy. And this we need to end it. And in this particular verse also, this Rishi is telling us how to end this tragedy. Because this is the ignorance, this is the darkness. Darkness which shrouds the light of the truth. So this is like a very silent input in this verse. So whatever is veiling, we need to get rid of it. And the false hallucination. Experience the God vision. That's why spirit or the soul is called the Lord of matter. Ish, Ishward. We are unable to perceive the divine presence everywhere around us. It's also said that it pervades all and nothing pervades it. Yet the paradox is that the world of polarity covers so successfully the vision of truth. It's like a sun is there, but we don't see it. Because under the sun, everything grows, everything is. But still, if we don't see the sun, it's completely covered. How do we feel? The same thing without the Lord, without Ish, nothing can exist. But still, we don't see it. In the Upanishads, there are two approaches to truth because we are trying to get to the truth. How to get to the truth? Two approaches. One is through the external world of objects, and the other one is through a subjective inquiry into this assemblage. Okay. So this is what this series is using too. So this very first mantra starts by the seer is declaring that personality is presided over by the Ish. It's external. Externally, look at it. It is everywhere. Because sometimes we think that no, this is all there is, and we just disregard the Atma. So to negate this misunderstanding in our mind, this very first line of the mantra continues. It's just like right away, he's just telling us. And when he uses this pronoun this, it says that this means everything. It includes and incorporates all that moves in this universe, including the moving universe itself. So if we don't want to look at the complete universe, let's look at our own earth. Everything on the earth and earth itself, everything is moving. So on the earth also, inside the earth also, around the earth also, God is everywhere. Or if you just want to go little closer to yourself, outside you also, inside you also, and at the subtler level of your personality also, the mind and the intellect. God is everywhere. It's not only in the chakras. It's not only in the Brahmarandra. It's everywhere. We are clothed by it. We are enveloped by it. So this yat and kinch, I told you that means whichever or whatever. So those two terms also take your mind to all the names and forms which are in this universe. Because everything is an expression of the glory of the external truth. So this Rishi is talking about using both the approaches, external as well as internal. And Jagat word also comes in the Upanishads quite a bit. Jagat really suggests the state of change. Anything which changes, that's a Jagat. The world of change to change. Nothing stays constant. We know that. Every microsecond things are changing. Inside our body also, outside also. That is called a Jagat, constant change. The perishables perishing in a world which itself is perishing. Okay? And still we want to hold on to them. We don't want them to change. And that is the fear we have. So we got to pause for a moment and analyze our own experiences. When we pause, we can really experience the ever shining reality behind all changes. Because if something is there which is not changing, only then we can see the changes. Okay? So there has to be constant. So in this relativity, we know that there is a constant and everything else is changing. So that's why when we meditate, these rishis, they tell us, they give us the instructions how to really know that everything is changing, how to experience it. Go to that substratum, which is not changing. There is something which cannot change. By definition, it cannot change. Once you know that, you know everything else is changing. And if it's changing, why get attached to it? Because that has been a tragedy for us. So changing in reference to what? So this Jagat means changing, and what is not changing is the Supreme, the soul, the spirit, the Atma. So that changeless entity which is ever present in all changes, which never undergoes any change at any time. That is the truth. Absolute truth. And this is the absolute truth we need to detect, we need to follow, and ultimately we need to apprehend in the quiet meditation. This principle of existence, which we call, we express it, this principle of existence, most of the time unconsciously. But this divine principle of existence is none other than who we are. Generally, it's not noticed by us. That's why we need to do this sadhana. That's why we need to meditate, so that we perceive it. The reality is perceived by us more clearly than all the things which are changing. So that's what he's saying, that beneath the perceptions dwells the mighty spirit of perfection as a subtle divine power, which pervades all and which is eternal. And we must come to experience this spirit through a process of renunciation. In this verse, he is telling us through a process of renunciation. Renunciation of our preoccupation with our temporary perceptions. Renounce that. Perceptions change, but the truth behind them never change. It's changeless. Perceptions perish, but the truth is imperishable. Perceptions, they are multiple, they are plural. Truth is one, non-dual. So to identify ourselves with this all-pervading truth is to realize the self within. We need to see it. We need to experience it. And this is the theme of this Ishavasya Upanishad. If you want to know what are we are learning what is the truth and how to get to that truth. So in the very first verse, he's telling us, renounce this Jagat. But everybody is not ready to renounce. Everybody has not reached to that level. So that's why in the next verse, he'll tell us, give us another instruction. But this first verse is for a very serious seeker. Okay? But all these Upanishads, just like a Bhagavad Gita, Yog Darshan, they keep on telling us, do this, but if you're not able to do this, at least do this. If you cannot do that, at least do that. At least start your sadhana at a certain level. But they always start out from a very higher level. They think the student who is ready has picked up this scripture, they will follow it. Just like a Yog Darshan, what does that start with? Samadhis. Bhagavad Gita, the Sankhya Yoga, the Gyan. Then later on goes into the Karam and the Bhakti and all that. Okay? So when we are told of a paramount power presiding over the world of matter, the teacher is advocating that we must come to experience this great joyous perfection through the renunciation of what? What are we supposed to renounce? Our false values and attachments. Attachments which we have cultivated in ourselves in the jungles of our own perceptions. So this great master of the Upanishad in this opening mantra advising us to renounce the false if you want to enjoy the real. Ten tyakten, that renounced. Only then you will experience Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Otherwise, we fail to notice this reality, this absolute. It's almost like a very rarely we are recognizing the paper on which the words are written. Something which is changeable, we just focus on that. Substratum, we miss. So this is the substratum, the spirit, the soul. And there's another meaning for ten tyakten. That means by him. By him means ish. Ten tyakten. So, which is left to us by him. He says, he has given you this. You enjoy. Offer to Lord. And then whatever is left, take it as a prasad. When you get that, whatever you get, enjoy it. Because everything is his. Everything is owned by him, created by him. So whatever you get, just take it as a blessing. And kasya swid dhanam, the wealth. Where is the wealth? All this wealth belongs to him. The infinite alone is the reality. It is the core of all the forms. It pervades everything within, and it envelops everything. It's almost like this world is like an iceberg floating on the water. Water frozen and floating on the water. Like a God in these forms and God everywhere. So live life in this attitude of dedication and gratitude, which is the way to true enjoyment. So he's not saying don't enjoy. He says enjoy. Enjoy without hoarding, without coveting. Remembering that it's not yours. Ten can also mean therefore. Through detachment from all polarity, come to experience the supreme harmony of one truth, which pervades all, indwells in all, clothes all. And this word ma gridha, never covet. Last week I told you grid means in Sanskrit a vulture. So this sage very rightly is using this term grid. He's telling us if you are greedy, you are vulture-like. That's why greed is an enemy of a seeker. Greed. So to covet is to desire, to possess more and more, to hold, to collect. Sure, sometimes we think that we have worked hard, but ultimately remember, whose is it all? We don't own anything. Then bhujintha, enjoy. And over here, the root of this word is bhuj, to enjoy. Also means to save. That means saving one's self. It's not saving the wealth, saving oneself. So that means the protecting of your own self. Only then you will enjoy. Because the real joy is coming from where? From the self. Not from the anatma, but from the atma. So in short, when you look at the whole thing, what does it mean? Renouncing the fleeting world and it's equally fleeting objects. In the Lord is all this experience. Come to enjoy the self. Saving the self is to enjoy the self. By enjoying it, one saves it. By not enjoying it, one kills it. This is the message he is giving it to us. And some saints, they also say that when this Upanishad was written, Tyakten Bhujinta, that also means that giving is the true enjoyment. Sometimes we think that taking is the enjoyment. They say giving is the real enjoyment, true enjoyment. Give it away intelligently. Then you will enjoy. Covet not wealth, not hoard it. So in this mantra, he's just very strongly, this Rishi is telling us. And when we don't covet, what are we trying to do? We are working on our desires also. So we are not becoming greedy and we are controlling our desires. So training for the control of desires. So if we have not trained enough, we cannot renounce. So we got to learn how to train that also by remembering whose wealth is this. So you can see that this first verse itself is a miniature philosophical textbook. Just one verse. Everything is given there. Where is God? What is the purpose of this physical life? How are we supposed to enjoy? And what are we supposed to do? Everything is given in there. So it's a explanation of the technique of realizing the truth and the values of life. So in two lines over here are four parts of it in these two lines. Four aspects of philosophy, completely discussed through indicative words. Okay, very key words they have used. And this is the first wave or in the first mantra, the glory of the path of meditation and renunciation. Okay, so meditation we must do, but we cannot meditate properly if we don't have this spirit of renunciation from the false and getting attached to the real. So now supposing if the path of this meditation or the renunciation is hard for a certain type of a seeker, what are they to do? The next mantra. Kurvan ev ihi karmanihi jiji vishet shat gam sama evam tvai na anyatha ita asti na karam lipyate nare. Kurvan, performing. Ev means alone. Ih means here. Here means in this world, in this human body. Karmani, the actions, the work, the deeds. Ji jiveshet, should desire to live. Shatgam, 100. Sama, years. Evam means thus, tavai means while you are, na means not, anyatha, otherwise. Ita, then this, asti means is, na karam, na means not, karam is the action, deed, lipyate, attached, nare, in the person. Performing verily work in this world should one desire to live a full 100 years. This alone is right, for there is no other right path. Action never clings to a person following this path. Okay, so it's like a live, do your duties as a karam yogi. So the first verse is related to a karam sannyasi. It's not that he is not doing the karam either, but he understands I am not doing it. He sees only the Atma and the Paramatma. Over here, if you really cannot see that, at least be a karam yogi. Never clings to the fruits. That's what he is advocating over here. Because if you cling to the fruit, then you are not a karam yogi. Why two paths? Because we are not of the same temperament. Some people are more physically active. Some people can sit and meditate. So that's why they always give us the option. Or even any given day, sometimes our mind is ready, and other times it's not ready to contemplate. So it's good to know both. What are we supposed to do? So those who have inclinations towards a life in this world still practice sincerely, diligently, but a life of a karma yogi. That's what he's saying. Don't become a workaholic, try to become a karma yogi. Na karma lipate nare. So it's like these great rishis, in their godly detachment from the world, still they know that we have different temperaments. So they very closely, by looking at human temperaments, they gave us different ways of living, but still progressing. With the help of their acute intelligence, they estimated the result of action, inaction, and unaction. Because they say that a person who is not ready to meditate, cannot really see the subtlety of this life, can become lazy also. So, not being lazy, do the action. Okay, so in the previous verse, way of renunciation was emphasized. Over here, the way of work. A person who is a tamsik, not doing anything, letting somebody else to take care of himself or herself. The Guru says, get up, do your own duties. So then person works hard, then can get attached to the fruits of the action. Then Guru says, hey, raise your level up. Work hard, but do not get attached to the fruits. So the expression over here, performing verily work alone. That is very powerful over here. Work alone. That means detachment from the fruit of the work. See this, and this ave is alone. But this ave word is actually, if you look at it, this ave is a kurvan ave. That means work verily, karmani ave, and then jivishet eva also. This eva goes with all this. And then shat gamam sama eva. So work verily, strongly desire to live verily, full 100 years verily. So this alone word is connected with all of them. So it's like the force of the different statements. You see, they enhance the total statement over here. So dedicated and noble work alone can polish the personality of a lazy man to a working man, then a working man to a saintly man. You're not working just for yourself, you're working for the society. That's what he's trying to tell us. So man or a person is not born to live in idleness. Because idle man is what? A tamasic man. This nature itself will whip the tamasic on the road of right and wrong activity. That is rajasic. And from here we need to evolve to the sattvika, a state of joy, where you are doing, but you're doing it for others. That's a sattvic. So this particular verse declaring that move towards this noblest life, the life of intense activity. Strive to do the best, to fulfill all your desires, because as a human being, we were born with certain desires. It's good to fulfill the desires. Through sweat and toil, must teach yourself to live That kind of a life with the enthusiasm. Full 100 years. Ideal life, according to the Vedic seers, 100 years. But ultimately, learn how to serve the humanity. That's what he's trying to, this text is insisting on. So another word over here, the evam. Evam. Physical activities for an entire lifetime with the knowledge of the real and in a spirit of paying homage to him. Evam. That means detachment from the anxiety for the foods, from the ego sense. That's what's recommended here. So the term evam meaning in this manner. See, we do all work, we learn how to work, but we learn how to work for the fruits also and for our selfishness also. These seers are telling us, work this way, in this manner. In this manner means that ultimately you have to move towards the message which was given in the first stanza. See, Upanishads, few words, they give us a lot. Every word is very pregnant word. So that's how we are supposed to understand. Goal of human life is Godhood. And we need to experience that Godhood right here on this, in this body, on this changing world. That is the goal. And the stages of progress is like that. If somebody can feel that right now, through contemplation, through meditation, through prayers, good. But if somebody can't, work hard and reach here. So that's what this evam word means. Because first we learn how to do the sakam work. Sakam means do the actions so that your desires get fulfilled. Sakam. Sa means with, kam means desires. Then later on, nishkam work. You are still working, but not for your personal desires. You don't have any desires. You have detached from the desires. So that's why connect these two verses when you study them. So selfish work fulfills itself into selfless work. Okay? So don't be idle. Instead of being idle, being tamasic, do work to fulfill the desires. But that selfless work, ultimately that selfish work you should take you to selfless work. And that selfless work is the one ultimately which will accomplish or take you towards that goal in purifying your mind and intellect and make you take you towards that Godhood. So these two verses are telling us that. So live intelligently, function purely in a spirit of work for work's sake. That's exactly what Bhagavad Gita told us too. You can go to chapter 4, verse number 24. Lord Krishna says, Na karam lipyate nara. Action never taints such a person. That means a person never gets attached to the work. If we can raise our mind to this level, do work just for the sake of working, not for the sake of fruits. That's where we have to go to. If we learn this kind of a skillfulness of the work, the karma, we will not be contaminated. We will learn how to work with the detachment, a total selflessness. And he says, even in you, a mere man, the Vainare, you think you are just a man, you are just a human being. He says, even merely a man, a person can reach to this level. We don't have to have a different kind of a body. Even as a human being, we can reach this. Because any moment we might feel that no, we cannot. But these rishis, whether it was a God incarnate Lord Krishna, or whether this rishi, he says, to the extent we can bring the spirit of detachment, the joy of dedication into our work, to that extent our actions cannot affect us. So it's not the action which is affecting us, it is with the attitude or the motivation which we are using to do the action. Two people are doing the same action, one person gets attached, the other does not. One person feels very arrogant, the other stays without arrogance. So this is what he's trying to tell us, that the joy of dedication into your work, then action will not affect you. Such actions, what do they really do if we learn how to do action like that? Especially for 100 years, if we do actions like that, we are purging our own vasanas. And you all are familiar with this term vasana, because of the vasanas, we are here. We kept on creating the vasanas for countless lifetimes, and we have forgotten who we are. We got to purge those vasanas, and working like this for a long period with such activities which are undertaken in a spirit of detachment, to a large extent will clean our mind. And we all know why do we need to clean our mind? Because mind has the impurities. Impurities like worldly desires, attachments, hatred, selfishness, jealousy, greed. We need to purify our mind of these impurities. And when we work like this for 100 years, he says, even a person, merely a man, can become a god. Okay, so vigorous life of 100 years spent in loving service of humanity through these selfless activities. And now we'll see next week, he's telling us in the third verse, if you don't do these, what will happen? There's no third way he's talking about over here. He says either renounce, connect through the meditation and contemplation, or work like this. If you don't do either one of them, you will go to a dark place. We are the one who decide our future. Our actions decide, our mind decides. Those are the tools given to us. We are sitting on the driver's seat. So based upon our actions, we take birth in the next life, and he's going to tell us what will happen. Okay, so any question, Jyoti?
Yes,
No question?
Neetu has a question. Neetu, go ahead.
Harshi,
Yes, Neetu.
this is the question. I have one question for today and one from the yesterday. The question that I asked you about the shoreless ocean, and you say that engine. So I was trying to reflect on that, the tangent part, and I came up like, is the tangent like the anchor? An anchor is a god in the middle of the ocean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right, because you got to hold on to something.
Right.
Hold on to something which is permanent.
So it's like,
Otherwise, even in the ocean, everything is changing.
Right.
And if you have an anchor,
Yeah.
and then you'll be able to reach the shore.
Okay.
Okay, so God, and God, whether it's a name of God or a form of God, but in our mind, it has to be that divine presence. And that's what this Rishi today is telling us.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
The another thing I wanted to ask you about, the first thing that I heard this was the greed that um, what is the deep root cause of having a greed in us?
Greed is farther away we are from knowing who we are, the more greedy we are for the worldly things.
Mm,
Because real joy is right here, but we don't feel it. We don't believe in it. We think that somebody out there, something out there is going to make us fulfilled, happy.
okay.
Okay. So lack of true knowledge makes us greedy.
But that also I reflected was that it may not be, we don't see, it's so subtle, it may not be greed, but it's the attachment to our children, our families. And we are, I mean, I'm talking for myself, that we are so hooked on them. Like today when I sat in silent and I'm like, you know what, I felt that I am hooked to the spouse rather than I should be hooked onto God.
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't see this separation, like the one ultimate God, that Father who I should be hooked. I'm not disconnected with worldly, which is the worldly person that I'm hooked onto.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Because it's like a we feel that these worldly relationships,
yeah,
worldly objects,
yeah,
worldly name and fame, we feel more secure.
yes,
We think they will save us. But
yeah,
ultimately, when we study scriptures, we read that ultimate savior is who?
God.
God. It's not that we should not have the relationships, but even through these relationships also, we
Yeah.
should see the God element.
That's what I wanted to.
Yes.
I
And that
I'm like,
that happens through the study, sure,
uh-huh.
because we are getting the knowledge and
Okay.
then practice we need to do. Okay?
Yeah,
Because this is permanent.
yeah, yeah. But
It's
that is
not.
been so programmed that
Yeah, we have convinced ourselves over several lifetimes.
oh, lifetimes. Okay, okay.
It's not just one lifetime. Greed also. It's not just this lifetime's greed.
Yeah.
We brought
Okay.
the greed with us, those
Okay.
greed element also, arrogance element also, because where are they residing? They are residing in our mind, and mind travels. So
Okay. All right. Right. You
it's
said
not that somebody taught us.
okay.
We brought that. Just
Oh,
like we were talking about yesterday, the fear. Fear we brought with us because we died many times and we didn't like dying, and it just became strengthened and strengthened.
okay.
So
Okay.
the other vices also,
Yeah.
or
I
the impurities also, it's not from the, say, physical body, it was given to us new, but
okay.
mind has been traveling with us for countless lifetimes. So that's why the mental impurities are stronger. But
Oh,
we just spend all our life only at the physical body level.
true.
This is something we need to contemplate upon. But greed is definitely all of these six, they are big impurities and we need to take care of them.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
So slowly, slowly. It's
Thank
like
you.
a Saraswati sadhana. If it was that easy, then there's no need to do the sadhana.
Hmm.
Okay, it is definitely very subtle and very it's deep rooted.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
deeper the root, harder it's gonna take, more effort it's gonna take to take it out. And these are deep rooted.
Okay.
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 Yes,
Thank
Jyoti.
Sujata?
Yes, Sujata.
Just to carry on from what you were saying, I wanted to ask. So you begin as a karma yogi, then you work selflessly as as discussed by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, the Karm Sannyas Yoga. And then you realize that you are not the doer.
Yeah. So in the first verse is a Karam Sannyasi.
Is the Karm Sannyasi, yes.
Second verse is a Karam Yogi.
Yes.
Okay, Karam Sannyasi, very hard, very few people are Karam Sannyasis. So that's why right away he jumped into the Karam Yoga part. Okay.
And then from Karm Sannyasi, you have to realize that you are one and it is God that is acting.
It's like during meditation. That's why if a person can meditate very easily, that person will work also as a yogi. Okay. See, all these rishis, they worked very hard. They did, but they did not take the ownership of their actions. That's why this scripture, we don't even know who wrote it. Great verses, no name. Did it? I mean, such a profound knowledge in here. No ownership. That's a Karam Sannyasi. There's no need for to take the credit. Because nothing is mine. They knew that. But he says, sure, everybody is not there. Do work hard. And slowly reach there. So Karam Yogi doesn't need to stay only at the Karam Yoga level. Needs to rise up. Goal is the same for all of us. Whether we are here or there, goal is the Godhood.
So in the final stage, when a Karm Sannyasi achieves Godhood, their individual ego is dissolved completely.
Yeah, the ego is gone. Ego has to go away. As long as that ego is there, we are separated.
Yes. Okay. So at least be a good person, then be a selfless person, and then be God.
Yeah, then no person.
No person. Yes, yes.
Okay, that's why what term I use most of the time. There's an animal man, right? That's like we want. Constantly we want. Whatever is there, we want to take it. We think it's mine. That's an animal man. Constant greed. Countless desires. Animal man. From there, we become a man. Okay? Little awareness. I need to share. It's not just for me alone. I live in this world with other people. In this family, I live with other family members. And ultimately, this whole world is my family. When we can reach to that level, that's a divine man, God man. So this is the progress. And we are here to progress. And that's why this Rishi is going to tell us, if we don't, we can go down also. While the upward path is open for us, downward path is open too. Be aware of that. Don't think that you are a man right now, you will stay a man. Okay, so be careful. It's easier to slide down than climb up. That's why we have to be very vigilant, very careful, with our eyes open. We have to climb up. Okay. So anybody else?
Manju Malhotra.
Yes, Manju.
Namaste, Hershi.
Namaste.
Hershi, I have the notes from when you taught us in 2014, and you mentioned a rishi named Yagya Valkaya as, I don't know, as author of this Upanishad.
Sometimes, you know,
and
sometimes it's dedicated to those rishis also. They
Okay,
never put
and
their
then
name on it, but somehow, somewhere, connection comes. Okay, so
okay,
authorship. So see, just like any other scripture, also,
right.
yeah, they never put their names underneath there.
Okay.
Yajnavalkya,
And then you said
yeah,
his guru's name was Rishi Surya.
yes, yes, Surya.
The author's
Yes,
Rishi
yes,
Yajnavalkya
Yajnavalkya, yes,
guru was Rishi Surya.
yeah, yeah. So sometimes the scriptures are dedicated to these rishis later on, just like a Narad Bhakti Sutra. It's
Oh, right,
dedicated to
yes.
Naradji. And what are we doing on Thursdays? Avdhut Gita. It's dedicated to Dattatreyaji, right?
Yes.
So sometimes we see that. So in that sense,
Okay.
I said it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
Beautiful. I mean, Hershey, I think I'm so, I think I can say in all these years, I'm finding this the most beautiful and very, very condensed.
Very condensed. Yes.
And not to get lost because we have the background work. I mean,
Yeah.
you have taught us kind of,
Mhm.
but everything is very clean. Like, you know,
Yeah, it's very clean.
short and
Yeah, short and
powerful.
sweet, to the point, and just try to see no extra word written in there. So
and
to
you're
the
teaching
point.
every word is spoken by you, right? Like it's like beautifully, honestly,
Yeah.
your every line, every word you have spoken last lecture and this one is real, like a poetry. Beautiful. Thank you.
No, I somehow, I think Upanishads are written with so much love for us. Otherwise, we wouldn't know this. It's so easy to get lost in this physical world. So these Upanishadic seers take our mind towards the reality, this absoluteness. Okay, and they say, enjoy this, but don't forget this. Okay. Yes. Yes, Jyoti.
I think Dr. Chandra has a question.
Yes.
Yes, Jyoti.
Yes.
Thank you, Hershji. I was just thinking in Upanishads, there any place mentioned about creation? When God himself in the human form only he would have created, right? Why would he create the dinosaurs in Jurassic period, anything like that, as before humans? I wonder why, say like, for example, what a creation like a spider or a scorpion or so many other creations. Why would he do that?
Because they're also needed. Those creation, those creatures are also needed. Spiders, they have a place too. In this entire creation, they have a place also.
No, what my question is, why, what was the purpose of, in other words, when he created, humans must be the first one to create, or just like the Christianity says, the like in the ocean, and then amphibians, then reptiles, and then humans
I
come
see
like
how
that.
it progressed. That's what you're
How it progressed, and in that progress, I cannot imagine how a nice, beautiful peacock is being created by God at the same time a porcupine or an ugly looking some other creation. Why would you do that? I mean, what was the purpose of that?
Well, that only God knows. Right? How can I know what God knows?
Yeah, I agree. No, I don't know. This is, I mean,
Yeah,
humans
this
are
must be,
getting so,
he
you see,
thought and he created, and there is a place, and in this entire system, there must be some reason behind it, right? That
he
he
must have
created
thought
all
so
that.
much to
And
create.
then there are more beautiful than human beings also, those angels which are out there too, right?
Yes, yes, that's what I'm saying. Just
So
I
he
was
just
thinking
create,
about the
yeah.
beauty of a peacock. It's so beautiful.
Beauty of peacock also, yeah, there's just so much beauty.
So much beauty
All
there, and
around.
how much time he must have thought about to create that. I don't think it comes an evolution. I cannot imagine.
Yeah, it
How can
doesn't.
you-
Yeah, if God can create this whole universe, He doesn't do it in stages. He just
Exactly.
thinks and
So,
it's done. It doesn't take that long for Him to do it. He just
exactly.
thought
I
about
agree.
it and it came. These are all our many theories. Some people think that from amoeba and all, how it grew. But there is to me, I think God doesn't need to do it stage by stage.
No, I think you're right. So that's what I'm thinking
I
too.
think at the same time, He can create all.
Always wonder why would he create dinosaurs or something like that? Those huge.
Yeah. I often ask these kind of questions to my Guruji, and he would say that when you meet God, ask Him.
Okay, that's a good answer. Thank you, Ji.
That
Thank
was
you.
his answer to me, and that will be the answer, my answer to you.
Oh, thank you, Ji. Okay,
Because
I
our
like
mind
that.
can only think so much, right?
That's right. Exactly. I agree. Thank you, Ji. That's a good
Yes,
answer.
but good questions though. Yes, Jyoti.
Pramila has a question.
Yes, Pramila.
I was just continuing what Sujata asked you. That sentence you said, you can move upwards and you can move downwards. How would you move downwards?
By clinging to your selfishness, attachments, likes and dislikes, more desires, right? So our own desires, our own mind can take us up or down. Okay? So that's why we have to make our mind pure so that we don't go down. Okay?
So you have to be watchful.
Extremely watchful. See, while we are keeping our mind pure, we got to keep our mind calm. These are the two things we need to do. Okay, watchful, definitely. What did I say the other day? I said if we are attached to anything, what is the attachment? Who attaches the most? The lizard. Have you seen lizards attaching to the wall, to the ceiling? Attachment. Let go of the attachments to these worldly things. Okay? Attach to God only. Think about God only. Okay? Yes, Jyoti.
Sujata.
Thank you.
Sujata.
I just have one comment in what you call in an answer to Dr. G's question about the dinosaurs and the peacocks. The patterns in nature are a product of a mathematical formula. It's been repeatedly proven that zebra stripes and tiger stripes and the way flowers open up, they're a property of a mathematical formula. And I feel God created the formula.
Yeah, ultimate creator is God. That's what I was about to say. All these sciences, who is the creator of all the sciences too, whether it's a math or physics or biology? It's God. God
And
thought about it.
absolutely
God created. So
every single
it's
pattern.
that's why it's said that it's his Leela. His play. It's just a big play. Right? It's a big stage. And we are just a tiny bit part of it. And we got to just play our part right. And remember, we are here to merge with him, ultimately. Okay. If there's no question, Manny, are you singing today? Or
Yes. If it's okay.
Purnamadam.
of course.
Purnamadam.
Okay.
Oh, Purnamadam. Okay, all right. Let's do the that last mantra, and then you can decide to sing what you want to sing. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.